All right, welcome everyone. Tonight, Taylor Horton is going to show you how he uses a simple scorecard to understand the market at a glance. So he knows how to trade, when to wait, and when to stay completely out. It removes the guesswork, does the heavy lifting for him, and keeps him aligned with market conditions instead of reacting to noise. If you want clearer decisions and fewer unnecessary trades, you are in the right place. Taylor,
All
the
right.
floor
Thank you,
is
Daryl. What's up,
yours.
guys? I'm telling you guys, if I could find a way to teach people how to sound like Daryl, I could get trading, I could quit trading and get rich that way. But I don't know how to teach you that, so we got to make this trading thing work. All right, what's up, Mirza? All right, guys, quick check of the audio here. Make sure we are cooking with maximum gasoline. And we got Mirza in the building. What's up, Christina? Hey, Eric. Hey to Neil. Hey to Edward, AJ. What's up to my jujitsu brother, Vincent? All right, guys. So before we jump in, first off, we got the whole end of year push going on, the holidays and Christmas. I'm sure a lot of you you're traveling. Maybe you're going to host the holidays. So first off, thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And before we jump in, guys, question for all of you: well, first off, how are you? And second of all, how's your year of trading been? And if you want, you can share in the chat here. Has it been a profitable year, a good year, a great year? Maybe a year of frustration. I've had a few of those. But if y'all want, you can sound off in the chat here. Tell me how your year has gone. And if I can do my job tonight, I'm going to get you in. I'm going to get you out. I'm going to give y'all some value. I'm going to show you a couple of things we've been working on here hard in the background that whether or not you've had a good year or a bad year, I think can really put you in a position for the upcoming year to have your best year yet. So how does that sound to y'all? All right, Deborah, good. Like to hear that. Eric, down and frustrating. Okay, Rami says, horrible year. I'm so close to shutting this thing down. All right, Rami, everything I'm going to discuss tonight, I think can help you in a major fashion. And I'll give you guys a little bit of my backstory here. But I'm on this is maybe year 12 and change of trading. And look, guys, starting off, I had every advantage you could possibly want. My dad's a trader, so I'm born into to a Wall Street family. I found guys like John Carter, Henry Gamble, really early, really young. So I've got all these great mentors, this great head start, all these advantages. And even that being said, trading is really freaking hard. Like I had to go through the tough weeks, the tough months, couple of tough years. But on the other side of those tough weeks, tough months, tough years is the promised land of trading. So a little bit on me, guys. My name is Taylor Horton. As I mentioned, trading for about 11 or 12 years now. And hopefully it comes across in the sessions and the YouTube videos on the mic. I love trading. I love trading. I'm crazy in love with it. It's my passion, my craft, and it's going to help me eventually accomplish all the goals I set for myself in life. A few of which are quite lofty. And then every trader needs a why. Again, trading is tough, guys. It can be mentally challenging, emotionally challenging, sometimes physically challenging, surprisingly. We all have to have a strong why. So my why is my family and my dog. So you've got the Taylors and the Beans. This is my wife, Taylor, so we share the same name. She's the good-looking one here on the left, and we had our third wedding anniversary in September of this year. And she's been dealing with me for about maybe about as long as I've been trading 11, 12, 13 years. So she's awesome. And then we got the Beans over here, and the Beans is my little. That's my partner in crime right there. So there's my why. There's my motivation. I want to, take care of them, provide for them, make sure they're comfortable, enjoy life. And Mrs. Beans here, she likes her tennis balls. So somebody's got to buy the tennis balls. Yeah. What are your dogs' names, guys? I have to ask. I'm a big dog guy. Give me a couple of dog names here. We'll keep it moving. Fluffy, Buddy, Kingston, Grover, Penny, Max the Boxer, Annie, Bodie. Yeah, these are all quality dog names. Awesome stuff. So there's a little bit on me, the family, and then my original goal in life was to be an NBA player. And for those of you who have met me in person, you, you see my sheer physical stature, all 5'8" of me. You probably ask yourself, how's this kid not in the NBA? But that was the dream, and a lot of kids say they want to be a pro athlete, etc. I really went for it. Like I was a kid who took his basketball to bed at night. I'd be up 4 o'clock in the morning shooting free throws. I'm out there in the snow and the rain, and obviously did not become an NBA player, but all the things I learned in basketball, they've really applied to trading. And I had fun with it. I played, all the summer leagues, AAU. I had a couple of, played against some guys who went to the NBA. Had a couple of guys on my teams who went to the NBA. So favorite player here being Kobe Bryant. And he's got this quote. He calls it the Mamba mentality. This can apply to trading, to health and exercise, life, anything you care about. The Mamba mentality, the constant quest to be the best version of oneself. And that kind of ties back to that compounding of daily efforts. Really important. So I'm a big Kobe fan. And before we jump in, guys, I want y'all to do me one favor. Not going to ask you too much here tonight, but I want you to take right now, and please do this right now if you can. If not, do it later. Take a pen and paper. Take your favorite quill-tipped pen. Could be a sticky note, could be a Word document, could be a tattoo gun. I want you to write down somewhere you're going to see before you trade every day, 80/20. And guys, I'm giving you like 10 years of painful lessons and getting my butt handed to me on a platter and blood, sweat, and tears, pain and suffering in like 10 seconds. If you can understand and grasp this one concept, you're so far ahead of most retail traders. The 80/20 rule. 80% of the time, markets are doing a lot of nothing. They're choppy, back and forth, tight and range bound. They lack the variables, or what I call the points. They lack the points needed to trigger big, explosive, highly profitable opportunities. And for new traders and for even experienced traders, that can be such a tough pill to swallow. What do we want? We want to wake up, heat up the coffee, and we want the big action. We want to be aggressive. We want the big trades, buying the out the money calls. And I love doing all that as much as the next guy. 75, 80% of the time, the market is not ideal for that kind of trading. We really have to understand that. Now, the other 20% of the time, guys, this is when the magic happens, the stars aligned, the odds of catching a meaningful move are very much stacked in your favor. So again, that one concept, understanding it and keeping it really at the forefront of all your decisions is massively important. The more you understand that, the bigger advantage you have over most retail traders. And in my 12 years of trading, that took about, if I'm being completely honest, maybe about 9 or 10 to really accept that and understand that. The golden rule, the 80/20 rule. So take that, write it down, and put it near your trading monitor. But all right, that being said, allow me to wet your whistle here. Every trader needs a why. Every trader also needs a moment in time. Right? Every big league pitcher has their go-to pitch. We need our go-to setup. And for me, that began with the squeeze, the original squeeze, going back 10, 11, 12 years ago. So quick trade recap here to wet your whistle. This was Friday of last week, December 12th. And off the 2-hour time frame here, I got long some Tesla calls into the weekend. All right, 2-hour squeeze, my favorite setup. And then on Monday, this was yesterday. And we got a couple of the trades here working in the room. We have some calls for January. This is a separate trade I opened up in my own account. But anywho, I'm long on Friday off the 2-hour squeeze. Took the calls into the weekend. And then on Monday the 15th, Tesla gapped up, at which point I sold my calls to lock in about a $14,000 profit. I don't care who you are, not a bad way to kick off the week. And then also yesterday, the 15th, after taking the initial 14K of profit, later in the afternoon, Tesla formed another squeeze here on the 15-minute time frame. So I parlayed my profits from the original trade into a new position. And after a little bit of back and forth and chop here today, the squeeze fired. That brought in another 9,500 of unrealized profits. So 14,000 closed, 9,500 open, and I'll show y'all later why I held that overnight. But again, not a bad way to kick off the week. So why Tesla? And if you guys asked me that question 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, I would have told you, well, because Tesla had a great squeeze setup. And yeah, sure enough, it did. Based on my standards, that 2-hour squeeze there, it can't get much better. Had all the criteria, checked all the boxes, all the bells, all the whistles. But if you ask me a year ago, why did I take it? It's basically all I would tell you. Well, it had a good squeeze, fit my criteria, had the pretty colors here on the indicator. That's why I took it. And this is when I was unknowingly trading with the blinders on, right? That one time frame focus, one setup, one stock focus. And like I mentioned, squeezes have, I mean, they've changed my life, financially in a lot of different ways. They've been good to us. It's like, it was that Saturday Night Live special back in the day with the baseball player. Baseball been very good to me. Squeezes have been very good to us. So trading squeezes that fit my criteria. On the 80 or so trades we closed in my room this year, we have about currently a 70% win rate. And then over the last 2 years and change, we've maintained that win rate over about in a little bit closer to 200 closed positions. So good consistency on that end. Okay, so that brings up the question: is trading? It goes a couple of thinkorswim alerts. Is finding success in trading as simple as focusing on one good setup? And here's guys where I wish I could lie to you and say yes, it's that simple. I'm going to give you a couple of scans, give you an indicator, and you will be the next John Carter. It's just not that simple. The truth is, to create that level of consistency, we have to focus on a lot more than just a squeeze setup. Even one that fits all 15 of my criteria, which we'll cover here shortly. And those are pretty damn good. So what goes into a consistent and repeatable process, right? That's got to be a big theme in 2026. Are we working a repeatable process? And now here comes all of the questions and the business decisions we take before every trade. For Tesla, why did I buy calls on Tesla? Why not? yeah, Vincent, my mom and dad have quoted that Saturday Night Live episode. So I don't think I've seen it, but I got that from them, amongst other things. But again, what goes into a consistent and more importantly, a repeatable process? And here's the questions you have to figure out. So why did I buy Tesla? And one thing for me I've learned from my dad, from Henry JC, it's not about the stock. Like I'm not a Tesla fan. I don't hate Tesla. I mean, to be honest, I like muscle cars in 12 cylinders. It's about that setup. So why did I buy calls on Tesla and not Netflix? I'm not picking Tesla because it's my favorite stock. Why not Netflix? Why not Nvidia? Why not one of the other 499 names in the S&P 500? Better yet, why am I looking to get long in the current market? Why not short? Why am I not waking up and getting my put buying on? And then what about the time frame? Why buy it right there on that 2-hour time frame? Why not a 15-minute or a 30-minute or a 1 hour or a 4 hour? And then sizing. Sizing is really important. Even though I love the setup, why did I take that trade with what I would call medium-sized position and not an aggressive, bigger than average position? That all points back towards the 80-20. And then finally, why take profit on Monday only to jump back in later in the afternoon? All the parts of the trade. And again, guys, this is our business. These are our business decisions. And being that we all have a human brain, here's where things can go wrong. We have to figure out, should I be bullish, bearish, or neutral? What ticker should I be bullish, bearish, or neutral on? What sector should I trade? What stock should I trade? Really important theme for me. More importantly, what stock should I not trade? Should I be in day trade mode? Should I be swing trading? Should I be aggressive in sizing up? Should I be in cash? Should I be sizing down? At the end of the day, what kind of market am I in? Is this the 80% of the time or the 20% of the time? And when do things go wrong? When we make these decisions based on feelings, emotions, opinions, and all of the warms and fuzzies. And we all have those, guys. We all have feelings, as we should. We all have emotions, as we should. We all have opinions. It's just that in trading, they don't matter at all. That goes for me, goes for a guy like JC, goes for all of us. Feelings, emotions, thoughts, opinions, they've got to keep them away in 2026. So big moment for me, big turning point was, what I figured out was, all right, if I'm going to fully maximize the potential of my system, I have to take off the blinders. I can't be so caught up in, okay, here's my stock, here's my pick, my time frame, and I'm going to live and breathe this one stock, this one time frame, and this thing is just the end all be all. We can't do that. We have to look outside the setup and take into consideration the bigger picture. Okay, so what's the best way of doing this? That is exactly what we're going to cover here tonight. First things first, um, show of hands here. How many of you currently trade or have traded the squeeze before? And that could be the original squeeze, the free version. That could be the squeeze pro. That could be my version, the big three. But how many of you are squeezers? We'll call them. No, Vincent, Kroger's coming later. don't you worry. Kroger made its way in. Okay, so it looks like a lot of you. Awesome. We love to see that. Um, but for me in trading, the squeeze is life. And actually, as I'm doing the webinar slides here last night, here was a 15-minute squeeze on the NASDAQ futures. I got a trigger for a short. And while I'm in the office waiting for Monday Night Football to kick off, I jumped in, got short, and that was good for a $1,200 profit. But all right, my beloved, the OG original gangster TTM squeeze. And I found this, guys. There's certain moments in life you don't forget. I was in one of my mentor's offices, looking at charts, trading. He calls me into his office and he says, "Hey, young buck." He didn't actually say that, but he says, "Hey, Taylor, have you looked into options yet?" Right? At that time, guys, I'm doing equity. I'm looking at micro cap stocks. He asked me, "Have you heard of the squeeze in John Carter?" To both, I said no, and yeah, the rest is history. Went home, found the website here, read about John, found the book, and that was for me a huge turning point. Okay, so let me tell you guys the story of my first squeeze rodeo. And real quick, few basics here on the squeeze. This one indicator directly ties in that 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, nothing of substance is happening. We are popping, we're flopping, we're all over the place, but we're also going nowhere. The other 20% of the time, we're getting that good stuff. That's where the squeeze is so powerful. So down here on this chart, we have these red dots. That's your squeeze histogram. When you have the red dots, you're in a squeeze. Think of that like a coiled spring. Everything's compressed, everything's tightened, all the energy is being built up. What that says is, hey, pay attention. If the squeeze can fire, meaning we release all the energy, that can kick off the bigger than expected move that gives you the action you only get 20% of the time. In plain English, we only get great moves when a squeeze fires. Okay, so my first rodeo, this is my origin story. This is back in May of 2014. At the time, I'm 21 years old. I'm full of energy and life and wonder. And I'd taken a couple of small squeezes, but I figured, you know what? I'm ready for the real deal. So here's my first real deal squeeze trade. And I found a daily squeeze here in the financial sector, the XLF. Now, I hope none of you ever do this. For the sake of diversification, I threw my entire $25,000 of buying power into Bank of America calls, into JP Morgan calls, into Goldman Sachs calls, into Morgan Stanley calls. And for a little bit more diversification to top it all off, I also bought some calls here directly on the XLF. So there I am, 21 years old. I'm taking my entire account, which frankly, if I blew it, I would have been SOL. And from that point, guys, what can go wrong? Thankfully for me, it all been pretty good. As that daily squeeze fired in the XLF, the bank stocks broke out in a big fashion that doubled my 25K account in about a week of trading. At that point, my friends, you can't tell me nothing. Like I've got it figured out. Like look out Wall Street, look out John Carter. I'm on Lamborghini.com. Do I want the white Aventura door? Do I want a black one? You know what? Couple squeezes more, I'll go and get both. So I'm on cloud nine. I got it figured out. I'm telling my wife. I'm all excited. And at this point, call it cockiness. I'm thinking it's that simple, right? Wait for a squeeze, get long, let the rally unfold, double my account. It is that easy, right? And as you all know, as I learned, boy, was I wildly wrong. So what I learned the hard way, the painful way, the depressing way, not all squeezes are created equal. After my initial success, we'll call it, I proceeded to swiftly give back all the profits and then some that I made on the big XLF trade, and I couldn't figure out why. Could not understand why. And that drove me crazy. What changed? Why did this one setup that worked so well the first time only fall apart in my face in my next handful of attempts? Because I'm thinking, I'm doing the basic trader math. All right, on one trade, I go from 25 to 50. That must mean, guys, my next trade, I'm going to go 50 to 100. I'm going to go 100 to 200, and I'll be a multimillionaire in a couple of months. Easy peasy, right? So that began the journey, and I've spent the last 9, 10 plus years trying to figure out what really makes these things tick. Going through as many examples of squeezes as possible, different time frames, looking at alignment, really trying to break them down and reverse engineer them. And that brings up the question: what actually makes for an explosive squeeze? That 2 hour time here, that 2 hour time frame here on Tesla. Okay, Rama, you've done it. Yeah, I think we've all done it once or twice. You bet the ranch on one idea. But on that 2 hour time frame, why was that a squeeze I was willing to take? Why not another time frame? Why not a different stock? The short answer, as far as the setup goes, that squeeze fit all 15 of my criteria for determining the path of least resistance. It had the full 15 points, the perfect report card. Okay, so this brings up the big three. Big three is going to be your trend structure, your trend criteria, your structure criteria, and your momentum criteria. My entire system is built on the foundation of the big three. The turning point where my results really improved was when I took that big three criteria, applied it to my squeeze trading. And what happened was I was no longer just trading squeezes, but rather I was trading the best squeezes. And what I also learned the hard way, this is about half the battle. So again, 15 points. Based on the big three criteria, there are 15 variables, 15 points that we use to judge the quality of a setup. So guys, a few basic examples here from the scoring system. Is price above or below the ATR trailing stop? If it's above, the bulls get 1 point, below, the bears get a point. The MACD, is MACD above or below the zero line? Above is bullish, 1 point for the bulls, below is bearish, 1 point for the bears. Do we have positively or negatively stacked EMAs? If they're positive, bulls get a point. If they're negative, bears get a point. If they are neither, nobody getting a point. Is price above or below my 21 EMA? So a few basics there. But again, through trial and error and making a lot of money and losing more money, I landed on 15 things that really, really matter, trying to gauge a name's path of least resistance. Okay, so that being said, why am I currently long Tesla? And if all goes well here, why would I like to ideally buy more? We took that scoring system, built a few indicators around it. So as you guys can see here on the 3-day time frame, Tesla's currently printing a squeeze that fits all 15 of my bullish criteria. That's why I'm still long Tesla. And we got a label right there that says Big 3 score 15. There's my checklist. I'm not going to go through all the momentum, look at all the criteria. I'm not going to do that. That'll do that for me on that one time frame. Perfect score of 15. Trend is bullish. Structure is bullish. Momentum is bullish. Combine that with our squeeze down here. When I get that green arrow down there on the squeeze, there's my moment in time. And look, is it guaranteed to break out in my favor because we have these 15 bull points? Absolutely not. But the odds are very much stacked in my favor over the course of a series of trades. So show of hands here, guys. Who's listened to or read Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, who happened to be one of JC's earlier mentors? But who here has read that book? Yeah, all of you. Awesome. I think we should read it at least once per year, maybe twice. I can make a good argument for maybe 3. But he teaches where does success come from in your trading system. It's working your edge over the course of a series of trades. So 2 tough but important pills to swallow. 1, the 80-20 rule. Not every market is a great market for big trades. The other tough pill to swallow, it's not about the results of your next trade, your next 2 trades. It's, am I working a system, taking a setup that over the course of every 25, 50, 500,000 times I do it, leaves me net profitable. That, my friends, is the key. So for those reasons, I like that 3-day squeeze there. Okay, now little pop quiz. Based on what I just told you, I want to take a squeeze and the perfect score of 15. What do we all think about Nvidia, who currently has a score of 4? It's a little bit bullish. I wouldn't short that, but I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. There's 11 things missing. Is it bad? No. Is it great? No. Can we do a lot better? We can do a heck of a lot better. Okay, by comparison, how do we feel about the rowdy Roku? My first thought when I look at a chart like that, and I've got the squeeze, the structure, everything lines up. If I can take that in the right market, and I'll show you guys what I think the right market is. If I can take that in the right market, this one given trade might not work, but man, if every 3-day squeeze I take looks like that, I've got all that edge in my favor. I am going to be very profitable. So 15 points in a squeeze, that's what I call an A-plus setup. So back here in September, Tesla had a giant 2-day squeeze. And check this out, guys. The squeeze started, so on my version, we enter compression on a blue dot. So back here in July, Tesla enters a 3-day squeeze. And you're getting through July, and we're getting through August. Here comes September. Not until end of September, October, do they finally go and break out the squeeze. So yes, we had a squeeze at the same time. We're very much trapped in the 80% kind of action. They pop it and they pull it back in. They pop it, they flush it, gap it up, gap it down, and then you get the alignment. 15 points, good structure. Everything lines up. They turn it into an A-plus setup. Setup-wise, there's a repeatable process. And back in September, that was good for about a $31,000 profit. And then Qualcomm. Qualcomm had a few of them. A weekly, a 3-day, a daily. This was good for a $30,000 profit. One that we took profit on back yesterday was Bank of America. Beautiful 4-hour squeeze. 15 points into 15. And then last night, why am I shorting the NASDAQ futures while I'm doing my webinar slides? 15-minute squeeze, a score of negative 15, trigger for a short on the red arrow. That brings home a quick 1,200 bucks. Okay, so 15 points on the scoring system and a squeeze. That makes for an A-plus setup. We don't take C pluses, we don't take B pluses, we don't even take A minuses. Only focus should be setup-wise, A plus or bust. It's the only thing I trade, the only thing I teach, and I'm a firm believer it's the only setup I need to reach the eventual goal of becoming a 7-figure trader. And in my humble estimation, I am about a couple of years off. God willing. Okay, so after explaining all that, it's not as simple as a squeeze. What's even better is squeezing these 15 things. Okay, is finding success in trading as simple as focusing on nothing but A-plus squeezes? Is it that simple? We can't take the original squeeze by itself, but hey, if we apply these 15 things, do we actually need anything more? Can it be that simple? And the answer is, drum roll, no. Bugs Bunny says no. And again, guys, sometimes trading can feel that easy. You wake up, you find your squeeze, you jump in, the fish are jumping in the boat. And what happens unknowingly is when squeezes work their best, you have the right market around you. When they don't work out like they should unknowingly, you don't have the right market around you. And a big part of our game is figuring out what kind of market am I in. To do that, we have to look outside of the squeeze, even the A-plus squeeze. Here's a great example. There's a bit of a Tesla theme here tonight. But as mentioned, back in September, here comes our squeeze. Everything lined up, and it makes for a beautiful move. But then here comes November, and once again, you have the same stock, same time frame, same indicator, same trigger, literally the same exact moment in time. Unlike September, you don't break out long, squeeze doesn't fire to the upside, you don't get a rapid 30-35% rally. Instead, things fizzle out, you pull back to a 50, and yeah, Tesla just kind of dies off there. Same stock, same moment in time. What changed? What changed had very little to do with Tesla. Okay, and then what makes for a good setup versus a good trade? This is the story of Kroger. And if y'all have done this before on any name, you can share it in the chat. But back in July, Kroger printed a beautiful daily squeeze fitting all the criteria. And hey, to my credit, as far as the setup, can't get much better. But here's guys that I either did not realize or chose to ignore. Maybe I got caught up in that one setup. What I didn't realize was that Kroger was a top holding in the weakest sector in the entire market at the time, the XLP. Great looking setup, part of a crappy looking basket. Meanwhile, the semiconductors are on fire. The SMH is crazy bullish. That same exact week, names like AMD and Broadcom and TSM, they also had their own A plus squeezes. So I want you guys to guess which ones worked. The the grocery store in the weak sector, the weakest sector, or the heavily weighted market leading chip names in at the time the strongest sector on Wall Street. If you guys had to guess, which one do you think worked? More importantly, which one is going to work over time with consistency? Good looking setup, bad sector, great looking setup, great looking sector. That is a lesson I learned many times the hard way. Okay, so how can I maximize a system? The game changed for me when I started using a top-down approach based on the following. And here's a change for me. I could not put the squeeze first. I love the squeeze. I couldn't put it first anymore. First things first, the indices. Begin there, then the sectors, then the individual stock relative strength, the final piece of it being the A plus squeeze. Going back 2-3 years ago, I don't care about the overall market. I'm not looking at sectors. I don't care about other stocks. I've got my squeeze, I've got my pick, and I don't need anything else. In other words, I took the blinders off. And the goal here, guys, is just alignment in our favor. Really important here. The best squeeze setups unfold when the indices and the sectors are aligned in your favor. More edge in your favor. So how can we determine whether or not we have the alignment needed in an objective fashion? Not based on what we think or we feel or the emotions. And that was the aha moment in time. If on one given time frame, a big three score of plus or minus 15 helps me gauge direction and catch squeezes, how can I take that and how can we provide ourselves with even more edge and further stack the odds in our favor? The answer was by applying that system to multiple time frames and tallying up the points. So 8 time frames, guys, I use to gauge the quality of the market or a stock, a ticker. The weekly, the 3-day, the 2-day, the daily, the 4-hour, the 2-hour, the 1-hour, and the 30-minute time frame. I'll trade others. I'll trade a 15, a 5. As far as, hey, is it bullish, bearish, or neutral? Am I in a good market, a bad market? These are my 8 time frames. So now we got to go do a little math. If we take the 8 time frames and we're trying to get more of that 40,000 foot view, bird's eye view of the market, we can take our 8 time frames. We can take the 15 criteria on each time frame. That gives us a system with the strongest possible score being 120 points. So strongest total score being a positive 120, your weakest total score for a stock being a negative 120. So in my book, based on my system, what actually makes for a strong market? Not an opinion, not a feeling, what makes for a strong market? The strongest markets occur when the indices and leading names have perfect total scores of 120 or close. Perfect 120 or close. These are the ideal conditions for finding explosive trades. Okay, so with that, what is the problem? And there's not enough caffeine in the world to do all that work manually. Right? Every day, guys, you want to have a sense of index-wise, are we bullish, bearish, or neutral? Should I be long, short? Should I be in cash? To do that, we have to take our 8 time frames, go through the 15 criteria, figure out of our 120 inputs, how many do we have? On the indexes, these 5 tickers, S&P, QQQ, the Dows, the Russell, the RSP, that would be 600 inputs we have to check. We don't have time for that. Now, these are my favorite stocks, the Big 10 basket, Apple, Amazon, the big boys. They are very important, very heavily weighted. I have to know, are they bullish? Are they bearish? Who's the best? Who's the weakest? To go through those 10 names, 120 inputs each. Now we're looking at 1,200 inputs on 12 tickers. We're going to be here till midnight. That is not efficient. Across the indexes and the Big 10, we would have to manually check off 1,800 different boxes to produce total scores with just these 15 tickers. And we have to do that. That's my biggest source of edge. So what's our solution? We can't take the hours upon hours needed to do that on the indexes, our favorite stocks, all these sectors. What is the solution? And as a few of y'all saw back in August, solution is the live data Big Three scorecard. This is my baby, guys. This has been the passion project I was going to say last 2 or 3 months. This is more so a 10, 11-year passion project. Right, this does all the heavy lifting, all the work for us in real time. Based on my scoring system, no more guessing, no more taking trades based on what we think or feel. This is your objective, live data scoring system to help you make all of your trading decisions. This ranks the indices, the sectors, and stocks from strongest to weakest, all in real time. So pop quiz, guys. I'm not even going to jump into the nitty gritty, all the details. Here's how easy it is. Before we even dive in, based on the rankings here for the Big Ten names to the right, what's one name we should maybe focus on tomorrow? And remember, your strongest score is 100, 100%, and your weakest score is a negative 100. So based on that, what ticker should I have a lot of focus on for tomorrow's session? Yeah, Vincent, dark mode is, I'm loving dark mode. Yeah, clear as day, Tesla. And that can always change, of course, but until things change, Netflix is a negative 53. It has a negative 64 out of 120. Microsoft a negative 40. Amazon's a negative 37. And even these names, not as impressive. Meta at 22%, Apple at 25, Google 33. Based on things that matter, not what we think or feel, objectively, Tesla is much, much, much stronger than all other 9 names here on that watch list. Okay, so taking all that and going back to the example of that 2-hour squeeze there, let's go answer a few of those questions. What makes for a good trade? Why did I get long Tesla back on Friday? And again, why not a different name? Why not Google or Nvidia or Apple, Microsoft? All the names in the market. Why not short Tesla? All the above. So first question, why did I buy calls on Tesla? Why not Nvidia? Why not one of the other names in my Big Ten watch list? The answer is Tesla had by far the strongest ranking in the Big Ten basket. And I don't have to think about it and do all the heavy lifting, all the work. I open my dashboard and boom, right there in real time. First place in my face is the electric eel. Okay, second question. Why not buy a stock in, say, the real estate sector or the utility sector? Well, back on Friday, off the ranking system, the strongest sector on the board was the XLY, of which Tesla is a major component. So good example there of stock and sector alignment. Not only did I find a beautiful squeeze, I found it in a strong stock that's also part of a strong sector. These things make for a good trade, not just one setup. Next question. Why am I out here getting long to begin with? Why not short? I'll talk more about this in a few minutes, guys, but the reason being the overall market had a rating of neutral bullish. That is a bit more supportive of longs than shorts. Okay, next question. This one's easy. Why did I buy it on that 2-hour time frame? Answer is we had the full 15 points in a squeeze. There's my pitch. There's my moment in time. Next question, very important question. Why did I take this trade with medium-sized position and not an aggressive, bigger than average position? And then why did I take profit at the open on Monday and wait for another reentry? The answer being the total market score and all the other key tickers, they started losing value. That translates to a warning sign that I'm maybe not in the 20% of the time kind of market. So this, guys, is the 20% of the time kind of market. This is back in early September. And right here on the homepage, the scoring system indicated we're in a bullish market. Index is strong. Everybody's looking strong sectors-wise. XLY is in first place. Big Ten basket-wise, Tesla's also in first place. Strength in the stock, strength in the sector, strength in the indices, strength in the entire market. That is what? That translates for us. That translates to us is what? Edge in our rankings and edge in our one moment in time. One without the other, you can make work. The combination of the two, that's how you can get really good. So we have redefined, or I've redefined the A plus moment in time. It's no longer about that one squeeze, one setup. We're looking for market alignment. We're looking at sector alignment. We're breaking down the relative strength leadership. We're having the scorecard do all the heavy lifting for us, do all the math for us, and then we go figure out who's got the best squeezes, not in the opposite direction. And then what changed in November? So September, great market, all the leadership, all the pretty colors, beautiful squeeze, and Tesla's up a quick, 35 to 40%. And then here comes November. We're going to go for it again. It was so nice. We'll jump back in and do it twice. And that one did not break out. If you're only watching Tesla, you're not going to see the change around you. What changed? Well, we went from a rating of bullish to only neutral bullish. It's a bit of a drop off. The QQQ went from being in first place to third place. The XLY went from 100% of its best score down to 54. And then under the surface, Tesla all by itself. Here's why you can't fall in love with one time frame. All by itself under the surface, Tesla got weaker as well. Did you have a quote unquote beautiful 3-day squeeze? You definitely did. Did you have the other more important pieces together for that trade to work? Not so much. So now we can compare September and October. September and November rather. September we had a rating of bullish. November was neutral bullish. September QQQ's at 88%. November 31 or 57. September XLY's in first place. It drops to more middle of the pack. September Tesla is king of the hill. November she is just another name on the dashboard. So for us guys to achieve the consistent results we're looking for from our trading, it's a matter of can we make these business decisions in an objective, efficient, and consistent manner. And like I keep going back to, a huge part of that, figuring out what kind of market you're in. Should I be day trading, going for the income trading, mostly in cash, or should I be up in the ante, getting aggressive, and going for the kill? And with October being a great market, I was able to close, just shy of 80,000 of profits here in my swing trading account. All right, and now there's a couple things I'm seeing as far as warning signs in the current market, which I'm going to wrap up the slides here in a minute. We will open up the live dashboard, put in some work, show you guys what's good, what's bad. But all said and done, what will this do for you? It will help you decide objectively if you should be bullish, bearish, or neutral on the current market. It will help you decide which indexes, sectors, and stocks to be bullish, bearish, or neutral on. It'll show you where the relative strength is, where the relative weakness is. It'll also show you, we added this feature a couple of days ago, it'll now show you day-to-day changes in the underlying scores. It'll help you figure out, should I be getting more aggressive, size down? At the end of the day, am I in the 80% of the time market or the 20% of the time market? This will do all that for you. And pricing, guys, I think we've nailed it. So a couple of things here. For the special founding member rate, if y'all want to check it out, monthly, it's $67 per month. Now, that will increase, I believe. So that expires on December 29th. But for the founding special, $67 per month. And look, I know we all have we're all different parts of our trading journey, and we have different account sizes and aggressiveness and risk tolerance. At that price point, $67 per month, guys, it's a couple of good trades. Really, regardless of your account size. So monthly, you can do it for $67, and the better offer would be the annual package for $670. And as mentioned, that'll increase on January 1st. And we'll go through a few more slides here, guys, bang into the live action. But if you have questions, you can reach out to support here at support@simplertrading.com or give them a call at 512-266-8659 and tell them I sent you. And then we also have the interest-free payments here with PayPal Credit. You can add the product you would like to your cart, click on the PayPal Credit button, apply for a line of credit through PayPal with 0% interest for 6 months. So, all right, guys, any questions on any of that, get it in the chat. Before I jump into Q&A, I'm going to show you the real McCoy here in real time. Where is the real McCoy? I brought everything but my dashboard. The one thing I needed for tonight. All right, let me go log in here. Let's go crank her up real quick. Okay, so here's the homepage, and I don't have time to show you guys everything tonight, but I want to show you the important parts, the meat and the potatoes. Okay, so here's our homepage on the dashboard, and the first thing I check every single morning is going to be, let me get my recording going. Let's get some fancy drawing tools going, shall we? Okay, so off the dashboard, the first part of my daily process, I'm going to check right here. That's my overall market rating. Right now, guys, we're in a market equals neutral. Let's break that down. So that comes from a combination of the index scores, right? Taking all these tickers and combining them. That comes from the combination of the sector scores, right? We're taking XLY and gold and financials, taking all that and combining it. And then we're taking the Big Ten names, combining all of them. We get those three total group scores, add all that up. That's how we get our total score. So from the indexes, the Big Ten basket, and the sectors collectively, the current market is only at 25% of its best, strongest possible score. It's a little bit bullish, but my socks are firmly on my feet. Now, by comparison, I keep on saying September. We got the little calendar icon over here. We can actually go and look back at September, and here's the difference. September was an easier market, better opportunity, easier trades, bigger profit, and we had a lot more to work with. We weren't neutral, we were bullish. We had more leadership, more relative strength, made for a much, much easier market. But that sets my tone for everything. Should I be bullish, bearish, or neutral? That comes from not my opinion, but the main ranking there on the homepage. Right now, the indices are at 41% of their best score. That takes the Dow Jones score, RSP, IWM, S&P's QQQ, takes all that, combines it. Collectively, they're at 41% of their best score. Now, we can break it down a little bit more. Dow Jones is pretty bullish. And then look at QQQ. So as far as warning signs, one thing I'm seeing right now, the most important, most heavily weighted names are not the strongest. The things that are the strongest, that'd be Dow Jones, RSP, silver, gold, communications, financials, materials, industrials, healthcare. The things that are the strongest are showing signs of relative strength. They're not the most important, most heavily weighted names. So index is in pretty good shape, and then the Big Ten basket, right? These are your leaders. These 10 names, guys, make up like 40% of the entire S&P 500. Take all of them and combine them, they're only 3% of their best score. Very neutral, very, very lame. And from there, we can say, all right, well, Tesla is perfect. So tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm maybe going to look for a squeeze on Tesla. What am I 100% not going to do tomorrow? Try to call for a bottom in Netflix. Try to get long in Microsoft and Amazon, force the issue in NVIDIA. I want to keep things as easy as possible. Tesla's a clear standout. And then sectors, they have a collective 32%. So as I mentioned, first part of my process is figuring out the market I'm in, and that comes from the homepage here on the total rankings. All right, and then we have our top bull and our top bear. This is more of my, okay, give me a quick peek of who's bullish and who's bearish. So one thing I'll do to clean it up a bit is on the market cap column, here's how we can sort things. My flavor of choice is more so large cap and mega. So I'm going to say, show me large cap and mega. And here's a few names in the market printing impressive scores. Of course, you have Tesla and Roku, Monster Beverage and Twilio, Marriott and TKO, Southwest Airlines. What about a few of the stinkers? You got Oxy and USO, Hog, SGM. So we have the total rankings. That comes from the indices, the sectors, and the Big Ten basket. We have our top bull and our top bear. Then we have my personal watch list, and then we have, for you guys, the ability to have your own watch list. I'll show you that here in a second. And now from the home page, I'm going to go here to the main list. Right, and now we have tabs for the entire universe. We have a top 20 tab, a Big 10 basket tab. This is a new one, the indices tab. We have a tab for A plus squeezes, sector strength, all the above. So here's my process. I begin here on the all watch list, every name in the universe. And then I can either apply some filters manually, or I can do it once. I can save the filters. It'll do that work for me. So things I like. Again, I'm a large cap and a mega cap kind of guy. So out of the 1,300 names we currently have here in the universe, I want to eliminate anything not large cap and mega. And that took me down here, guys, from 1,300 names to only 500. But I want to keep on narrowing it down. I'm not going to sit here and go through, never mind 500 charts. I don't want to go through 50. Okay, so I can go large cap and mega cap, and then here's some context. Should I be looking for longs or shorts? And right now, the market being neutral, that can be a little tricky, but with the indexes being bullish, I want to lean a little bit more bullish. So therefore, off that main list, I'm going to say, all right, on my strength tab here, being that I want to be bullish, eliminate anything that is not better than, let's just say for the sake of conversation, greater than or equal to 75% of its best score. All right, and now we narrowed it down to about only 60 names. And then I'm going to apply one more filter that'd be on the ATR 21 column. And I'm going to say for this, I only want to see these names that are about 1.5 average true range moves above their 21 EMA or lower. In other words, I could fight for a good entry. So I'm going to say on that column, less than or equal to. And we're going to go 1.5. And doing all that filtering, I've taken it from 1,300 names down to about 18. We are left with what? LVS, Palantir, Lilybell, Raytheon, Bank of America, Jazz, HPE, Mickey D's, VRTX, and a few more. So I can save all the filters and save them here under my filters. Right, makes my job easy. Wake up, go to my filters. I want to look at. So one that I saved here. Show me everything in big tech and financials with the perfect score. It's a little bit specific, but I like it. So I can click on that filter. And awesome, my job's nice and easy. Nothing at the moment would fit that criteria. I can go to my plus 70 filters. And again, very quickly does all that work for me. So one final thing I want to show you guys here is, again, the current problem with the current market. That there's the stock and there's the surroundings of the stock. So why do I love Tesla? It is the strongest name at the moment on the Big 10 basket. It is objectively stronger than every sector ETF. It is objectively stronger than every other Big 10 name. It is stronger than every index ticker. Not much beats 100%. So that's part of why I like it. The other part of it being I got good sector alignment. Tesla's part of the XLY. Then we go look at the squeeze. So here's what I think is the best setup in the entire market right now. Does not mean it works, but we have like perfection here on the 3-day squeeze. So why am I not jumping and buying that with crazy aggressive size? Nothing to do with Tesla, nothing to do with the squeeze, everything to do with what the dashboard is telling me. I am not back in September, October, guys. I don't have the same market behind it. I don't have the index leadership. I don't have the sector leadership. Everything except Tesla is currently different than back in September. We can ignore that and have some subpar results, and we can acknowledge that and have some great results. So things that have to change here in the current market is just alignment. We don't have a lack of good-looking setups. We have a lack of a proper market behind them. So any questions, guys, on any of that? Anything here as far as the home page and main list, how I use it, the benefit, anything y'all got, I'm here for it. But hopefully at first glance, you guys can see the value in that. I have given back the most money in the shortest periods of time, making these decisions on my own. What my brain says right now, my emotions say is, dude, put your entire account in Tesla. And I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek, but that's how much I like the setup. And I got the feeling, I got the urge. I'm jonesing to get more aggressive, and this saves me from myself. I'm going to trade it, but I'm going to trade it in a certain fashion. And if everything does fall into place, then I'm going to hit it that much harder. But it saves me from myself. One problem a lot of traders have is, um, even in the context of a very strong uptrend, I have seen so many traders give back money trying to short a bullish market. Right, we'll rally for 12 weeks straight, and everybody's happy, nobody bats an eye, and then we get one pullback, and it's markets in turmoil. In my room, guys, we have given back exactly $0.00 trying to short this market all year long. I cannot tell you the last time we have gotten aggressively short. And reason being, we've had pullbacks, we've had chop, we've had a lot of back and forth. At no point did I wake up to market equals bearish. The system never said to go and get aggressively short. So I hope all that makes sense. If y'all don't mind, let me check the gold futures here real quick, and then I will get caught up in the chat, and I shall see what you got for me. Yeah, BC, I like that. I don't know if we can use that, but I like that. FinViz on steroids. That's awesome. Okay, James. So let's go look here at the gold futures. And now, why even bother? Why look at the gold? And the dashboard would suggest that gold is worthy of a look. GLD in third place at 88% of its best score. Now, I'm not a big gold fan. I don't own gold. I don't have a gold tooth. I have to acknowledge, rankings wise, gold is a lot better right now than Google and Apple and Meta and TSM and other things I maybe love to trade. And funny enough, guys, this is the first year or year and change I've actively traded gold. And not because I suddenly woke up and I care about gold now, but I've got a system in place telling me, dude, go trade gold. You can go call for a bottom in Bitcoin or go trade the gold bug. So yeah, let's go look at gold here. And again, that's why we'd want to look at it. And funny enough, you guys are onto the theme here. Because of the combination of that ranking and the combination of the squeeze here, I took a little nibble on it before the webinar. Got my $200 and I hit the road. But that's why I took that trade for my day trading. There's my repeatable process. It is not just a squeeze. We can find every single day so many good looking 2-minute squeezes and 3-minute and 5-minute 15. They're not all going to be in a highly ranked name. So therefore, before I jump on the mic here for the webinar, look at the dashboard, gold in good shape, silver's in good shape. Okay, anything for a squeezer on the futures. I then look at gold. There's my moment in time. 30-minute squeeze, green arrow, 15 points out of 15. It's an A+ setup and a good relative strength name. There's our repeatable process. Now, that same exact setup in something like, say, real estate, it'll work every now and then. It's not going to be consistent. No, so gold is definitely in play right now, and I kind of wish I still had the trade on. The good news is, guys, I can go to Chili's for lunch tomorrow. All right, keep on scrolling through here. Yeah, John C., great question. Can I use this for longer term trades? 4-month, 5-month, 6-month. And I would say yes. So a good example of that is on the stock side of things. I love Qualcomm right now. Like that 3-day squeeze, that weekly squeeze is just top shelf squeeze action. But on a bigger time frame, what has to be in place for that to actually go and work out? And let me show you guys an example here on Google, actually. So Google on the monthly time frame, and this trade haunts me to this day. This could have and should have been my first 6-figure profit. I got a very late entry. But point being, there's a beautiful monthly squeeze. By itself, that's great for for more of that long-term swing. As a general statement, what kind of market do we have behind Google June, July, August, September, etc.? For a bigger picture play like that, as a general statement, we've had a pretty bullish market. Where if the monthly S&Ps was trending in the opposite direction, I don't care how good Tesla looks, I don't think that trade works out. So the key is just what? If I'm going to look for that long-term hold, index, sector, then the stock. So for example, I could go looking at maybe the financials. They grade out pretty good. They're at 76% of their best score. Until they lose their relative strength, they could be in play. Until they lose their relative strength, for a bigger picture swing, I'm going to go look for a bigger time frame squeeze. And we happen to be in luck. There's a few here on the financials as we speak. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, Qualcomm's trying to come together. Yep. And yeah, Suda. So why do I think Tesla's the best setup in the market right now? Part of it being, as far as that heavily weighted basket, really, really impressive signs of relative strength. Tesla is basically the only one putting on its big boy pants and showing up for work. That alone is impressive. That alone is noteworthy. That matters. And then we have gorgeous 3-day squeeze and a gorgeous 2-day squeeze. But why is it not the complete package? We have the alignment in the stock. We have a handful of beautiful squeezes. We have relative strength. It's in a strong sector. The only missing piece, index strength. The only change in this picture, in September's picture, was a better QQQ, a better S&P 500, better Big Ten names. We have a little bit of the picture, not the full picture. So that's why I like it. But as far as a market lagging behind, that's why I'm trading it a little bit smaller than I could and maybe should. Good question there. And yeah, guys, so for the indicator side of things, which are not part of the scorecard, that can be found on the website under the Big 3 squeeze indicators. And I'm sure Mirza or Lorna can hook you up with a link for that in here. Larry, do I buy out the money options? That will depend entirely on whether or not I'm in the 20% of the time market or the 80% of the time. My favorite time to say, great question. There's a time and a place for everything. My favorite time to get aggressive as far as my strategy, and to me that'd be, I'm going to lean more towards buying the out the money option. That'd be when I have that full picture perfect across the board alignment. Again, that was more so September, October. Tesla squeeze relative strength, good XLY, good QQQ. The Qs had a big squeeze, S&Ps had a big squeeze. When you're in that 20% of the time kind of market and you have that top-down alignment, that kind of market, I'm a little bit more of a fan of. I want to lean a little bit more out the money. A reason being, that can give you the best bang for your buck. And if you have the full alignment, the odds of the move working should be in your favor. And now, for example, the way I'm trading Tesla at the moment is I'm doing a call debit spread. So the trade that I jumped back into when I parlay profit this afternoon was a call debit spread. And reason being, I love it. I think it'll break out, but I don't love the market. Things might be a little choppy. That credit spread can be a little bit more forgiving. And I'm a fan of doing the in the money, the at the money. But my favorite trade in the world is that time frame, a bigger time frame squeeze, all the alignment, buying these slightly out the money calls. It's by far my favorite. BC, is there a way to filter out all of the penny stocks? Yeah, great question. So again, I'm not going to trade. We currently have about 1,300 names in the universe. I'm not going to trade like 95% of them. So how can I filter it out? And one way is here on the on the main list. I can say, market cap wise, I want to eliminate small cap. I want to eliminate the mid cap, and I'm going to keep mega and large. And that's one quick way you can weed out a little bit of the riffraff, call it. I am not a fan of the riffraff. And yeah, Vincent, silver. So silver's another one that is just going for it. Oh wow, gee, wow, look at it. Wow, I'm thinking it's maybe a 1%. Repeatable process. 30-minute squeeze, all 15 criteria, every box being checked. Why take that in silver? Because silver is up here in tied for first place, sitting pretty. That's why you take that one. All right, guys, a lot of good questions here. Much appreciated. Keep on working through. Do a few more. No, Chanela. So everything you see on your end will look exactly the same. The one thing you'll want to have to do is build out your own filters. And we could talk about that in the room over the weekend. That's one thing you do want to do. And I'll do a quick one right now, guys. Let's just say, for example, we are a fan of. We only want to trade financials, big tech, and energy. So I'm going to go to my sector tab. I'm going to deselect everything. And then we have chosen, for some reason, energy, financials, and then technology. Okay, so we applied one filter. I'm going to go apply a market cap filter. Show me only mega. And then I'm going to apply a random filter here. I only want stocks with a score of 15 points on their daily chart and 15 points on their weekly time frame. And as far as filters, guys, you can get as crazy as you would like. But all right, got a few filters here. I'm going to go to the My Filters tab in the right-hand corner. I'm going to click on Add New Filter or New User Filter. And we're going to call this one Beans in honor of Coco. All right, so Beans, I'm going to save it. And then I can go up here and set Reset All Filters. All right, and then I'm going to go to bed, wake up, heat up my coffee, back to my main list. I'm going to go to my filters. All right, and now where's my beans filter? That will bring it all back for you automatically. And again, we'll talk more about that in the room, but we want to spend a little time building out, I think, a few default filters, called it. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, John, another great question there. So let's go back to Google. What is better than one A plus squeeze? A handful of them. So back in June, July, here's Google on the monthly. And off that bigger time frame, there's your pitch. You got the alignment, everything coming together. What can help you get that move going a little bit quicker? Another squeeze on a lower time frame. If we then drop down to the weekly time frame, as you guys can see inside that monthly squeeze, Google also had a perfect weekly squeeze. If my goal at that point is I want to be a buyer on the monthly time frame, there's a great early trigger. I can get in a little bit earlier. I can catch more of the initial move. I can be put in a profit that much faster. And I like that for day trading too. If I want to trade maybe a 30-minute squeeze, if there's also a 15-minute and a 5-minute, major bonus points. You know, one can lead to the other, The domino effect. Jaja, another great question. Do we need the indicators to take advantage of the system? I would say it's a little bit of yes and a little bit of no. If the goal is you want to become the best squeeze trader possible, if you really want to make the squeeze your one moment in time, I am biased, but I think this is by far the best squeeze-focused chart indicator. That being said, though, guys, if you have your own go-to setup, you've got your own setup, your own tools. Do you need mine? No. So Jaja, I'm going to use you an example. Say you have your own definition of your A plus setup. You've got your pitch, you've got your criteria. Take that and then incorporate the scoring system. right? You're going to go and acknowledge the fact that, all right, well, till things change, there is relative strength throughout the XLY, silver, gold, and communications. You can now take your trade, your tools, your moment in time, go look in that group. So that's what I think makes this tool so special is you can have the squeeze up session like I do. Maybe you're a day trader, maybe you're a scalper, maybe you like more of the equity trading, options trading. It can really help all of us. And reason being, we all have to have the same things for success, top to bottom alignment. So, Jaja, that's a really good question. All right, guys, it's about 11 after, so we'll do a couple more here, and then we shall call it I was going to say Wednesday night. We'll call it a Tuesday night. Yeah, Pawan. So on the squeeze radar here, thank you for bringing that one up. Okay, so on the A plus squeezes, and one issue I've been trying to fix for a few years is on Thinkorswim. I got these watchlist columns, and I love these. So gold futures were green on the 30-minute. I can look at gold futures, and perfect. There's my 30-minute squeeze. That's great for Thinkorswim, but it's not on other platforms. So the goal of that tab is to basically mimic the Thinkorswim watchlist columns. And you got monthly time frames and weekly and 3-day. We can change that as well. So on the columns tab, maybe I don't care about the monthly. Maybe I don't care about the weekly or the 4-day. I don't care about the short float or the market cap. I don't care about a 5-minute, 15-minute. I don't want to see the ATR. I don't want to see anything but these few columns. We can take them, we can drag them, we can drop them, we can get wild with it. And then real quick, one thing I didn't mention, which we just added a couple of days ago, is this day-to-day change. So for example, if we go here to the main list and we put the daily change column first, what are a few names in our universe who gain value in their scores today? You got Affirm, CEG, BJ's, FE, who the heck is that? FIVN, ZTS, etc. What about the other end? Who's losing value? Who's dropping? PSX, Edward Jones, EWH, COP, ExxonMobil, DGX. That's incredibly helpful. So we bought some Amazon a few weeks ago, and when I bought it, I liked it. It looked good, and then everything fizzled out. When you're long, you can take your position. The score ideally does not change against you. So that alone is a great warning sign for, hey, I jumped and I got long, and now under the surface, things that matter are changing against me. Hey, Rami, awesome. Yeah, awesome stuff. All right, guys, do a couple more here. Hey, Michael, what time am I on a daily basis? Yes, so I'm on the mic in my room on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and usually Friday. And on Monday, I'm live at the Open. On Tuesday, I'm live at the Open and 1 o'clock Central. I do the Open on Wednesday, and Thursday, I do the Open in 1 o'clock, and then on Friday, I do the Open. And we'll put that in a. If anything, we'll give you all a link here to the room if you want to check that out. Matt, great question. Does this show futures? For the time being, no. That is ideally very much in the works, though. Going to try to work on the futures path. Because I would love to log in and say, all right, for my futures trading, where am I looking? S&P futures, NASDAQ futures, crude oil, gold, Bitcoin, silver. We are working on that. Stay tuned on that. Yeah, Matt, so this all updates in real time. And of course, the market is closed right now, so it's not going to update right now. But when the market opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, literally 5 or 10 seconds later, all the data begins to populate. So that means what? I can buy Tesla on the close today based on things that matter. 100% good looking XLY, ABCD. I bought it because objectively it ranks out really well. Now here's the key. If that changes tomorrow, I can't ignore that. So we could open up tomorrow and boom, right at the open, all in real time. If things change in Tesla, it's going to show me immediately. And being long, what do I not want to see? Tesla goes from a 120 to 100 to a 90. I'm getting a negative change here in that column. But no, guys, all in real time. It's my favorite part about it. Because things change. If we do it all manually, and we put in all the hours of work, all the work we do at night could change by the open. So yeah, all live data, all in real time. Okay, John, so let's just say I'm a fan right now of the one they call Roku. So you have the focus watch list and you have the my watch list. Now these are my personal picks. That section, the my watch list on your guys' end, that's your personal watch list. So you can see things I put onto the focus watch list. I cannot see what you put onto your watch list. Nobody can see that but you. But all right, if I'm a fan here of Roku, I can right click on Roku and I'm going to say add to focus watch list. All right, and now here's Roku in my focus watch list, 97%. Okay, I'm a fan of Tesla, so I'm going to be one of you guys and gals. You happen to like Tesla, you want it to be your focus, you're going to right click on that one. You're going to say add to my watch list. Again, I can't see these, you can. And now down here on the my watch list section, there's your pick in Tesla. If we like the idea of shorting some Cube, we are anti-Cube. I'm going to right click on Cube. I'm going to add to my focus watch list, and then that becomes my main focus aside from that part of the sheet during the cash market. Do the work at night, lay out the game plan, who's bullish, who's neutral, figure out the game plan, and then as long as things don't change, just simply go and work that game plan. If things change, make the adjustments. But all right, y'all, it's about 20 after here, so we shall call it a webinar for tonight. But again, thank y'all for coming out. I hope you found it helpful. And like I mentioned back on, I think, slide number 4, the indicators and the setup and even the scoring system, they're helpful. They matter. They can make you profitable. At the end of the day, don't forget that one rule, 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, the markets are not ideal for big, outsized, aggressive trading. Doesn't mean we can't be profitable, but we have to be smart about it. The other 20% of the time, here comes the magic. Everything lined up, stars have aligned. Does that mean we're guaranteed big profit? Never. But playing the biggest probabilities game in the world, in that kind of market, the odds are in our favor. If y'all can keep that one thing in mind this coming year, keep that at the forefront of your system and your decisions, your trades, so far ahead of the average trader. Can't stress it enough. But all right, y'all, I'm going to cut you loose here. Let me give you my email so you can reach out. I'll put it up here in the alerts. My email is, if I can spell my own name correctly, Taylor.Horton at simplertrading.com. Link for the Twitters. I'm known to post some A+ squeezes on Twitter every now and then. All right, grab a link for that for you. But yeah, guys, anything I might have missed, any questions that I didn't get to, feel free to email me. I'll be up early in the morning, get back to you. But yeah, so we got 2 weeks left? Half a week, 1 week. Yeah, man, we're coming up on that finish line. So look, guys, finish up strong. If you've had a good year, don't ruin your good year. If you've had a frustrating year, don't make it more frustrating. The prep for 2026 begins now. What foundation can you have in place? What disciplines? What mindsets? How can you put yourself in the best position possible to kick some ass this coming year? And for me, I think we got it. We got it really mapped out. Top down indexes first, then the sectors, then the stocks, then you finish it up with the pretty A+ squeeze. So thank y'all again, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of everything we do here at Simpler. I should see you in the room tomorrow. But if we don't talk again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, safe travels, enjoy time with family. And yeah, we're going to finish up strong here. And then the great thing about being a trader, no breaks. Thank you again, guys. Have a